I'm Rachel,
I'm Ivy.
and we are Swords and Sapphics, a podcast all about queer media, representation, and women with a capital W.
Hello.
Hello.
What are we talking about today?
Well, we should be asking not what we're talking about, but who we're talking to.
Oh my God! Well,
Again,
who are we talking to?
we're talking to Samantha Leigh, author of Joy. One thing, I have scissors in my hands. What? I
I
don't know
ha I
why.
have I have a crocheting hook in my hand.
You did. It's like can't be a crochet hook because first of all, you don't crochet.
No, because at some point last week I have my box with my yarn and like knitting things and crocheting things and I was like cleaning it up a bit and I found all my crochet hooks. So I have it on here on my table. I was like, I have to put it somewhere safe because every time I reach in for the yarn, I get stabbed by something. Not the safest thing to do. So it was next to me and I needed to fidget a little bit. So
Fair enough.
that was the first thing I grabbed. Yeah.
Yeah. But we digress.
It is what it is.
But we have guest episodes planned for most of the season now. So should we change the way we introduce them?
I
It's
think
gonna
it's
be the norm.
all right.
Are people gonna get sick of us?
It's possible. Yeah, we'll have to ponder that one.
Yeah, we'll have a ponder. But yeah, we're talking to Samantha Lee, author of Joy. I talked about this book. I'm sure I talked about this book on the
Yeah,
podcast last year,
yeah, yeah.
and I loved it. And it's kind of it's very literary fiction. It's very Sally Rooney-esque, but it's set in Liverpool, which is always a plus because we Northerners don't get nearly enough representation. And it's sapphic, and it's about a friendship between three girls, and two of them are exes, so it's a little second chancey as well. But of course, because it's a kind of literary fiction, it ain't that smooth sailing, you know. You gotta kind of learn to love characters for all the naughty things they do too.
I have to. Well, Samantha mentioned that it was easier for her to write the plays that she knows, which I
Mhm.
respect because I couldn't do it. I hate it because I know that if I were to start writing about Prague, I would want to get the minuscule details that nobody gives a fuck about when it comes to like traveling from place to place. I got too upset with that. And also I realized I love reading about I left when Prague is in some book. I
Yeah,
hate it when they think like make stuff up. I hate it. I hate it. And then I get really upset and then it like really turns from me being excited to me being like, just don't bother. Like just don't, you know?
I completely get it. I mean, I think in this genre, it makes sense to set it in a book where to set it in a place where that you know really well.
Yeah.
But there is a reason that most of the towns I write about and the places I write about are fictional because first of all, I know most readers are like you, including me,
Hmm.
where like if you don't represent it accurately, it all hell breaks loose. People hate you for it. They're like, "How dare you?"
Yeah. Yeah. I get
Um,
really like what's the word? Like this is my home. So like it has to be perfect or just like,
yeah. And with European cities, especially, most people who write about them aren't actually native to that city because, of course, like so many tourists, and I'm guilty of it. I wrote about Amsterdam and New
And you
York.
did write about Prague, but I was there as a guide. I was your
I would never,
guide
yeah,
for
I
it.
would never publish without your permission.
Thank you. I really, it means a lot. It means a lot. And
Yeah.
I read a fantasy trilogy. I think it's behind. I can't find it. It was really, Laney. It was a really fantastic trilogy about like demons and angels. I loved it. And it was set in Prague. And for like 90%, it was great.
Mm.
But again, like she created a bar that doesn't exist, which I'm like, okay, but I hate it. And then they were like having a big fight at the Charles Bridge. But and it was empty, but like babes, it's never empty. Like that's just
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
even in the middle of the night. it's never empty. Like that's impossible to happen.
Yeah.
I saw it empty once, technically, and that was when they were shooting Spider-Man, and it was there's still so many people there.
So they would need a kind of a security crew
Yeah.
to tape off the Charles Bridge to have a fight there. And I guess the fight probably wasn't planned that well.
I know. I know. So yeah. So and that's like a silly little thing that really no one else would care about, but like I know this is my home.
No, I feel the same way. Like it's yours. It's like if
Yes.
somebody was writing about like your soul, like you'd be
Yes.
like, well, that's wrong because the place that you live is your home. It belongs to you.
Hmm.
So of course you either want it represented accurately or just not bother at all.
Yeah, it's true. That's what it is. Yeah.
Makes sense. But it does scare me because I love writing about different places but I've learned recently that it's best to just make shit up because I don't want to do things wrong badly.
Honestly, I am writing my Safia wait, Mafia suffix.
Even realize what just happened there. I was like, yeah, she is writing the Safia Maffic.
Oh God, I'm so tired. Yes. And I said it in Boston, but I'm usually all my information about Boston I'm getting from Ursula and Isles. And I
Yeah.
remember when I was writing it for the first time, I had like I was mapped open constantly. I was Googling obsessively. I think I spent most of my time like discovering like how to get from one side to Boston to another. It's just
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, one thing that springs to mind is Casey McQuiston's One Last Stop. That was slated for the misinformation about New York subway transport. Like they were getting the A line for a route that was like C line or something.
I
Like,
see. Like you, that's so easily accessible. You can just Google it.
yeah.
I do remember when I started writing so many things in my life, and at some point I was starting to write. I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I'm gonna set the beginning in Prague. It was a mistake because all I was focusing on is was okay. So she's traveling to the station, so that's Sea Line, and I described every fucking single step of her journey. Even to the point where like, okay, so she got on this station and there are entrances on left and right, so she has to go right to be able to get out in the right place immediately. Which nobody gives a fuck about, you know?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The alternative is just be vague about it. Nobody cares that way. Like, just say she got off the fucking tram and you're good. You're good to go. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna question that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's completely unrelated to anything that we discussed in this interview. I guess let's get to our interview with Samantha Leigh.
Yes, enjoy.
Well, thank you for joining us. Please, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am 31 now, which is horrible. Um, lived in Liverpool for like the last 11 years. I'm from the Black Country originally, which has nothing good in it apart from the Black Country Museum. And I am a tattooer full time. And then I did my master's in writing in 2019 to 2021, and then do that as well now. So other than that, I don't know. I'm not that interesting, unfortunately.
I'm sure that's not true.
Yeah.
What university did you do your master's at?
It was Liverpool as well.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, John Moores. Yeah, I did my undergrad there in art, and then yeah, but completely different, obviously, to do writing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What was that? I'm intrigued. This is completely going off course now, but what's it like to kind of jump from doing one subject to then doing a master's in the other? Like, was it difficult to kind of catch up?
Yeah, I can't write essays, is what I learned.
Mhm. Yeah.
Was try and make them funny, and then I'd get marked down for making jokes in the middle of an essay. I'm like, why don't you want to enjoy it? It's 3,000 words of boring nonsense. At least I'm trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to do that apparently. Yeah, it was tricky, but a few people on the masters hadn't had like any formal like proper, higher education or whatever at all. So yeah, it wasn't just me.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
interesting.
Mm,
Well, tell us a
yeah.
little bit about your book Joy and what inspired you to write it.
I started writing little bits of it just before I started the masters. I think it's that thing where had like this thing in the back of my mind for ages, and I was like, I'm just going to try and get it out. I'm not really sure why it was that particular thing that came out of my brain, but that's when it came out of my brain. I think you tend to, the first book anyway, you tend to write a lot of what's happened and not happened, but things drawn from your own situations and people around you and their situations. And I guess like that's what's weird when my friends read Joy now because they're like, "Did you? Is that Fred?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what happened. I didn't steal that bit from your life. Don't be silly." Yeah, you kind of just take a little bit of inspiration from what's going on around you. But no, I started writing it years and years, years ago, and then when I did the masters, it kind of became an actual thing, I suppose. And I was like, oh, I can actually do something with this rather than it just be like a two-page bit of nonsense that I've been editing for like a year and a half. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm not really sure where it came from. But that's what came out. So yeah.
Well, I loved it. So like when you say 2 pages, where did it start? What part of the story did you start with?
The very start, when they like meet in the smoking shelter at
Yeah.
college. I don't know, I wrote that and then kind of just had that to stare at for a really long time before I started the masters. And then I was like, when we were kind of encouraged to work on one like project, I suppose, through the masters, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this guy because it's been in my saved documents for so long. And then yeah, it kind of just went from there. I had no idea where it was going. So it was a bit of a
Yeah.
learning curve. Yeah,
And
it's
did you have to do like a lot of workshops with your masters? Like, was it workshops a lot and kind of?
yeah, that was really hard to get used to. I think what it was weird at first reading your work out. I hated it, like absolutely hated it. I hate the sound of your own voice anyway. And then I think as you read stuff, you're like, well, that doesn't sound right, but there's people just like staring at you.
Yeah.
That was really scary. And then to have people like offer feedback or just criticisms on it the first like 6 months or whatever, it just felt like they're pulling your guts out because it's just horrible. Like it's such a weird personal thing, I think. And then to have people be like, well, that bit's shit. You're like, okay, okay, then yeah, that's totally fine. I don't mind at all. But you get thick skin eventually. But yeah, it took a while to get used
Yeah.
to. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I did a degree in creative writing, but luckily we didn't have to read it out loud. They kind of read it before the lesson started and then wrote on it, so it wasn't as brutal as that.
Yeah, it can be. It was a little bit savage trying to get used to people having an opinion about you, which is fine because like when you read other people's, well, I had opinions about that too, but I
Yeah.
just it feels really personal, but it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, you get used to it, I suppose. Yeah.
And where did your love of literary fiction and romance begin? And were you influenced by other authors or books?
Yeah, I get so when I was young, I think it's the same for a lot of like young women. I loved like Sophie Kinsella and all those like the not so much the shopaholic ones, the she did, oh my God, like Undomestic Goddess and some other, I don't know, I was obsessed with them when I was like 12 years old, I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. And I still have like her entire collection in my giant collection of books somewhere. And then that kind of, as I got older, developed into, I guess, more of a contemporary sort of authors that are a bit more age appropriate as you go into like your 20s and 30s. Love like oh, here we got Anna Hope, who wrote Expectation. I've got millions of. I should have gotten them out really. There was and Sally Rooney came out obviously and she
Yeah.
was like everywhere and she's amazing. And then well I used to love Cecilia Ahern as well. I think that was kind of in the same sort of um ballpark as the Sophie Kinsella era where it's just the writing was so lovely and easy and nice to read. And yeah, I really liked the kind of slice of life sort of vibes that they had, where it wasn't like beginning, middle, end. It was like this feels like someone you've like jumped into someone's life and it feels nice. So yeah, I like that kind of style of writing. But yeah, there's a lot of that about now, so I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I when I'm recommending the book, I always say it's like Sally Rooney if she was Liverpudlian, and that's a compliment because Sally Rooney is one of my favorite
Oh,
authors.
true. She's amazing. I haven't read a new one yet, actually. I need to get around to that.
No, I haven't either.
It's meant to be. Yeah, no, I haven't got to it yet. Yeah. Mm.
So why did you
Um,
choose to set the book in Liverpool?
It's just that's where I've spent my entire adult life. Liverpool's great, and I think it made it easier to pull settings from places that I've been a lot. Like a lot of the bars, restaurants, all that are places that I love. And I think it's much easier to describe the vibe and the feel of a place when you know it quite well. But it's rather than just being like fictitious place. So, but also Liverpool, I think if you've ever been here, it's a special place. It's like there's the people here are so lovely, and the vibes are just great. It gets a weird rap down south as well, I think, and I think it's weird. It's unusual to find, I guess, pop like novels now, like contemporary romance or whatever, that are set somewhere outside of London,
Hmm.
which I always find really weird. Like most, I guess again, even going back to like the Sophie Kinsella ones, they're always set in London, and it was always like she lives in whatever made I don't know what they're called, the fancy bits of London. It just felt nice to write something that people who don't necessarily live there can like relate to. It's like a little bit, yeah, a little bit less London centric, I suppose, even though there is a little bit of it in there, but um, yeah, and I think people that have read it who live here or have been here, I've had a lot of messages and stuff being like, "Oh my God, like I've been to that place. It was so cool to like see it in the book," or like, "Oh, it's nice to see it being painted in like a nice light rather than." I think yeah, it kind of get a bad rap here, I think, from people that maybe haven't really experienced Liverpool properly, It was nice to have like a thing where we're like, look at it, it's great here,
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
cool.
but basically my little poster for Yay Liverpool.
I love it.
Yeah.
And because the North is like quite often excluded from the publishing
Mm.
industry, what did the querying process look like you? And did you kind of look for agents outside of Liverpool or publishers, or did you kind of want to stick to the Northern?
So I started looking for agents first, which turns out is like a more difficult process than writing the book.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got like no publishing credits or anything. I thought like having, oh, I've got a master's, that'll help. No, everyone's got a master's
No. Yeah.
now. So yeah, I was really struggling, and then I ended up just sending 10,000 words or whatever to an Orthodox, and they just really liked it without me having an agent, which I was super lucky that it got caught there, I think, rather than I don't know. There's a lot of, I guess, vanity publishing places that are just they want money from you and stuff like that, which you're clueless about as well when you first start doing this sort of stuff. So we got a little bit of guidance from the MA, but I was out of the MA by then. Yeah, so it's from other authors I'd spoken to who were based up north, they have found it a little bit trickier, I guess, to be represented by one of the bigger publishers and companies in the South. I don't really know why. It makes no sense to me in my brain. Like, surely the writing's the same there to there, but
Yeah.
apparently not. So yeah, I got lucky with North Orthodox for sure because it is just really nice to be like part of what they're trying to do. Um, but yeah, no, unagented, which is a little bit terrifying, but hopefully won't be the case for the next one. So we'll see about that.
Yay, fingers crossed. I
Yeah.
mean, when I started publishing, I was writing anywhere but the North. Like, it didn't even occur to me that I was allowed to set my books where I live because
Yeah.
they're just not, it's just, ha especially with like romance, those
Yeah.
types of genres, like you get a few in the crime genre because they love to
Oh,
portray us
yeah.
as like
The gritty
gritty and
north.
yeah.
Yeah. That's actually quite nice here.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
Um,
didn't they also record the crime show at your lake, right? They
Oh
also
yeah, that one with oh, what you call
Archie
Jenna
Renner.
Coleman
Yeah.
and Archie Renault. They recently was filming a crime show for that there. I think it was,
oh.
I don't know if it was ITV. I can't remember what it was called. The Jetty, I think it was called. But yeah, we got a crime show being filmed here and it was very strange.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Joy is centered around the connection between three friends. Did you have a personal favorite character or one that you connected with the most while writing?
No, not really. People have asked me, friends especially have been like, "Oh, are you Joy? I'm like, no, I don't think so. There's definitely elements of me in all of them. Not necessarily the good bits either, you know. But I think that's what I enjoyed about writing three different people was, you know, they're all, not one of them's like perfect, lovely, nice person because that's
Mhm.
just not realistic. But no, I don't really think there was one that I favored really. There was, I think writing from one of them or two of them maybe came a little bit easier than others. But even then, no, I think if I'd had a favorite, it would have overtaken the whole book maybe, and it would have been
Mhm.
more from that one point of view rather than three. Um, yeah, no, maybe I should have had a favorite. I don't know. I don't know if people do have a favorite out of them. I think I really like Val. I think she's like a goodie. But obviously doesn't make the best decisions. So but I think that, again, it's like what makes people relatable. You know, it's
Yeah.
she's not just a stone cold bitch. She's quite nice as well. You know, it's yeah, no, I didn't pick a fave. I think it would have been felt like my favorite child. You know.
Yeah. We say support women's wrongs, so
Yeah, there you go. We listen and we don't judge. Yeah.
yeah. And because the book focuses on relationship dynamics and human connection, did you learn anything yourself while creating a coming of age?
I think it was more of a okay, obviously like situations aren't pulled from real life. There's little bits here and there, but you know that they were completely made up. But it was interesting to see how my brain worked through like what those characters were going through during those situations. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I'd think that. And like have a little you know, it's interesting to put yourself in the shoes of, you know, in a situation that you've never necessarily been in yourself. I guess that was a bit of a learning curve, but um yeah, no, it was an interesting process for sure. I mean, I don't know how people end up writing, people that write fantasy and stuff might, their minds just must explode on a daily basis. Because I was like, at least mine's set in like the real world with real people and real feelings that I can kind of get my head around.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to write from like, or like writing horror and stuff, like thrillers and stuff like that. I'm like, I'd be in a constant state of like, I guess,
Yeah.
anxiety, trying to like put yourself into the shoes of these like wildly different people to yourself all the time. So kind of lucky that yeah, all three characters were just kind of uh messed up, like mildly traumatized women in their
Mm.
20s. I was like, been there.
We've all been there. But it's interesting because I personally would find it harder to write kind of that style, I guess. Even though I write romance and it's very like centered on real people. And I think if you spoke to like fantasy authors, they would find it difficult as well to kind of put like a lens under like
Yeah.
normal everyday life.
Mm.
It
Yeah,
takes a skill.
I think it's I'm quite like an observant sort of person as well. I'm very
Yeah.
like I love a good people watch, especially like at parties and stuff. I like to be like, what's going on here? Like having making little mental notes like you're going in the next book, you know. Um, I just find yeah, human behavior really, really interesting. So it just kind of came easy to write about. But yeah, I guess that's why would find the other way to be really difficult. So yeah, but it's good that we don't all feel that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all books would be the same. So it's nice. Yeah.
And as well as the northern representation, why did you personally find it important to represent sapphic identities in queer women?
That I mean, that was never even a second thought for me, really. Like, so I think since I was young, I've always said I was bi. Like, I've always known that.
Mm.
And then, but I found that a lot of things I read, um, didn't always. It was always a really big deal. Like, in to have it. I don't know how to explain it. It was so in my masters we did like a read through of people's scenes, and there was a an older guy on the course, and he was like, "Oh, I thought they were really good friends." And I was like, "No, they're together. It's really obvious that they're together." And he's like, "Well, it doesn't explicitly say that." And I was like, "Well, does it say it when you're two straight characters, and they were boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, does it say, so why do I have to do it, but you don't have to do it? Like, you can infer from context that they are together, like they're kissing each other, you know, like it's not like they're just really good friends, you know." Um,
While
it was,
scissoring.
yeah, exactly. Like I just do this with all my friends, you know. So it was kind of important for me to have characters that have that identity, but that's not the be all end all of the book. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not really a coming out story. It's not a people being like, oh my God, this is happening. That's just part of It's like I'm this, and then we move on because that's not part of the story. I think that was kind of important for me anyway to have a book where there's like bisexual, gay, lesbian characters, and it's not like that's not the
Yeah.
point of the
Yeah.
story, you know. It just is a thing because it is just a thing, you know. So it doesn't need to be this huge point of the book, you know. It's that's just what they are, and then we crack on with the actual story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there any representation you'd like to see more of? Either, well, any representation you'd like to write more of, or just representation that you would kind of like to see from other books?
I think everything I write there tends to be. I mean, I'll never write anything that's just straight people. I don't think
Yeah.
because that's not my. I guess it's because it's not my experience. I would
Kind
find
of
it hard.
boring as well.
Boring. And we've got it a million times over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing I heard on my reviews quite a lot was like, "Oh, it's nice that the lesbian didn't die at the end." Is that a really common thing? Because I haven't read books like that, but apparently it's a really common thing where people
Mm,
are like, "Oh yeah, normally if the lesbians fall in love, one of them dies." Like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
What's the trope called? I
Bury
forget.
our gays.
Bury your gays, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the thing. Yeah. I mean, I think we're moving away from it
I
now.
think,
Like,
yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. It used to
yeah.
be a lot. Like that was the only representation you got, and
Yeah.
especially in fantasy book. And I think like mostly straight outers do that when they like do fantasy book and they I like here's your representation, but we're gonna kill them before the end of the book. But
That's
I
weird.
don't think it's that common these days now.
Yeah.
No, I think if you looked like 10 years ago, you'd
Yeah.
find mostly just stories where gay people are struggling and that there's homophobia everywhere and they kind
Yeah.
of are living a miserable life. But
Mm.
I think now definitely we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was never gonna write like a horrible homophobic scene. Like I'm not gonna do that
No.
of
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's like bits of it where men make like flirty comments towards Val Erica's girlfriend. I'm like, because that happens all the time, especially
Yeah.
if men don't think that a woman looks gay enough to
Mm.
be
Yeah.
gay. And they're like, I could sort that, you know.
Yeah.
So, like there's a bit of that in there, but again, I just didn't want that to be the point where it was like, look how much they're suffering. I'm
Mm.
actually living quite a normal life. It's
Yeah. We
yeah.
were talking about an author who has like a background gay character, and they're always like, he's gay, but he looks like he's lived through some things. Like he can't just be gay and happy. Like he has to
No.
have like a terrible
Yeah.
like chip on his shoulder.
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of times that must come from like straight authors too, though, where they can only imagine that
Yeah.
we're having a terrible time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But of course we are, yeah, sure. Okay.
Well, it's not great, but I think we're getting by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The romance in this book includes second chances and reunited exits. Do you have
Mhm.
any other favorite tropes that you would like to explore in the future?
Um, Not necessarily really that I have in my head. That's kind of what just came out of my brain, but that wasn't like the plan to like write that, you
Mhm.
know, just it just happened that way. But I don't think I even have a favorite trope to read, to be honest. I know a lot
Mhm.
of people are like, I love enemies to lovers, and I like friend, you know, all that stuff. But it really I don't think if I properly thought about it for like a good hour or so, maybe I'd come up with something. But no, I don't think I have like a favorite sort of trope really. I like being, I guess, surprised by what's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, maybe I should think of something like that. No, not really. No, I don't. There's nothing like
So
that.
when you started the book, was it more like were you leaning more towards the slice of life before the romance or
Yeah, so I still really wouldn't describe it as a romance. I don't think it's a very romantic book.
yeah.
Really. Like I think it's a bit more depressing than romantic for most of it. Um, but yeah, like when I wrote that first scene, obviously I knew I was going to get them together, and then as it kind of progressed, I was like, okay, well, we're going to split them up, and then we're going to get them back together again. But that was more because I like the dynamics of people who haven't seen each other in a really long time and how they behave when they're back in the same place, you know. Um, but yeah, the whole thing with the book is I've never planned it out like on post-it notes and gone, okay, this is happening, this is happening. I just kind of wrote it and let it. It was a terrible idea, a terrible way to write a book. Never do that again. But yeah, it's because I was like as clueless as anyone that was reading it for the first time, as I was writing it.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, the I guess the romantic kind of nicer bits towards the end were more of I was like, oh, okay, this is happening.
Yeah. Sprinkle
Um,
a little bit of joy
yeah,
in.
a little bit of nice. Go on, yeah, treat you.
You
Um,
you kind of sort of mentioned it, but what was the bigger challenge, like writing or publishing? And was there something that surprised you that you didn't
uh,
expect?
the writing always kind of came half easy, I suppose. But
Mm.
then as I got towards the end of it, I it's a really common thing apparently to like freak out and just be like, this is terrible, bin it, start something new. And then be like, this is the best thing that's ever been written with the new thing. And then one of my tutors was like, how far away are you from the end of Joy? And I was like 10,000 words. And she was like, that's why you're doing this. And I was like, no, but read this. This is amazing. And she's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And then like I look back now and I'm like, oh no, that was bad. I was just in some sort of weird, like, that was a warm
Yeah.
up sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, it was tricky as he got towards the end for sure. And Quarium was a special kind of hell, but only because I've never really had
Mhm.
experience in that sort of stuff before. And I had a couple of friends that were like getting agents and getting published, and I was like, oh God, like I've done it, something's gone wrong, like this is
Mhm.
terrible, everyone hates it, everyone hates me, the classic. Um, but yeah, I think this time around, next time around, I've kind of got a bit more tools in the toolbox,
Yeah.
a little bit more informed, so hopefully it'll be less of a stressy, horrible process, and fingers crossed, a little bit smoother. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
You never know with publishing.
No.
It seems to be getting worse every time I sign a book deal. But I'm sure it'll be fine.
Me too. Mm.
And what's your experience been like working with Northodox?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I got super lucky with them. Like I got loads of control over the cover, and all that stuff. A couple of my friends who have like more mainstream publishers, they've had to kind of hand it over and be okay
Yeah.
with whatever they've come
Mhm.
back with. So I got really lucky that it was my first one. It's with those guys because it's been like a nice, almost like informal kind of process. They're just super chill book nerds that are like,
Yeah.
they're like, excited to be starting this thing. And it was nice to be a part of it because I was their first like romance novel as well, which was so it was a bit of a learning curve for both of us. Um, but yeah, no, it was a really positive experience, and again, like super lucky because I didn't just have to hand over the thing that's been like so important to me, and then be like, there you go, you can just do what you want with it.
Yeah.
I hear of some people that don't even get to like pick the title and like get no say on the cover art and stuff. And I think the cover's so important. Like I definitely walk into Waterstones and judge all books by their covers. I do it. I know we're not meant to, but if it's ugly, I'm not picking it up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd have been a bit gutted if like a cover had come back and I've been like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's got to look like. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, oh yeah, I was very lucky with that. So the people that they've signed now are they'll only have a better experience than me because they're only going to learn more, as they go.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah, it's good.
Good.
Recommend.
And you have a second book in the works. Can you give us any hints about it?
Yeah, so it's based on we're in a restaurant this time around. And it's going to be based on the run up to Beaujolais Day, which is if I don't know if you know, it's a wine in France, and on the third Thursday of every November, it gets released at 1 minute past midnight in France, and then it's like a race to get it over to this country so we can have our Beaujolais wine tasting and meals and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm in a restaurant here, and like just a build up to this big tents. It's a whole thing. But it's my usual thing of lots of the dynamics of people that work in like a really stressful,
Mhm.
close-knit situation. And if anyone's ever worked in hospitality, you'll know it's like a box of hamsters running around and
Mm.
it can be stressful. Everyone knows too much about each other. It's yeah, the pressure's all high,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's and interactions with the customers as well. I always thought, I've worked in a lot of hospitality. I have a lot of friends in it, and some of the stories that come out of it are amazing. So I was like, I need to write all of these down and like, yeah. So I am. It's been a nice departure, I guess. I feel like I've and it's kind of a bit more of a grown-up escalation to the next thing because joy took over like my whole 20s. So I'm 30 now, gotta um yeah, so I am in the early stages of that, which is exciting. I feel good about it, so it's nice.
Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you are a tattoo artist by day, and we love tattoos, so we had to talk about it. Have you always been creative, and how did you get into tattooing?
Yeah, my granddad taught me how to draw when I was a kid. He was an artist, he was amazing. And then when I hit about 15, well, 14, 15, I started watching like Miami Ink and all that stuff. And I was
Mm.
obsessed with it. And I started working in my first studio when I was 16 and 17. And then I'm from a really little town and I got told a lot like, oh, girls can't do that. So
Mm.
I went to college and uni. And then in my last year of uni, I went back into tattooing, but in Liverpool. And it's my favorite thing.
Aw.
Great. It's not always easy, especially now, the economy's in shambles and no one's got any money and tattoos are expensive.
Yeah.
But I still get to draw on people every day for a living, so it's I'm very lucky in that respect. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite thing to to tattoo? That's hard to say.
No, I mean I just love tattooing in general, but I love doing portraits, they're my fave. And like big weird flowers, they're always really fun. But anything really, I just really like tattooing. So.
And because this was your debut, has anything surprised you about the publishing industry or writing in general? And what are your goals for future works?
Um, I think it was about as tough as everyone warned me it was gonna
Yeah.
be. Um, a lot of rejection, which is hard to take as well. Yeah, it was I think it definitely makes you thicken your skin up a little, it makes you be like, okay, not everything is so personal because I do have that thing, like if anyone says a negative thing, especially about writing, I'm like, oh God, but I've had to get better at that. Like, it's fine, you don't like it, whatever. Yeah, it's definitely a massive learning curve, but it's yeah, it wasn't one of those things where you get into it and you go, it's what isn't actually that bad. It is hard. Like it's draining and it's you think writing the book will be the hardest bit, but then everything that comes after it is it's quite a lot. But for the next one, I'm hoping that because I have like a publishing credit now, it'll be easier to get an agent and I'll just let them do the hard bit. I'm like, you
Yeah.
please you just do it. I don't have the mental capacity for any of this. So yeah, fingers crossed once I finish this one, agent is the plan, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, yeah, it's not an easy process, unfortunately, but
No.
yeah, worth it, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, it is eventually. I must admit, it is nice to have an agent and kind of be like, you sort this out for me because
Yeah, I can
I'm
imagine.
rubbish at communicating anyway. So it's nice to kind of have a middleman.
Yeah, it's I imagine that would be a nice little stress relief for sure. But yeah, that is the plan because I couldn't do this again like by myself. I don't think. Obviously, I got really lucky with an Orthodox, but it's that can't be the case every time. I don't
Yeah. And are
think.
you set on like kind of traditional publishing, or would you ever consider self-publishing?
I think I like the idea of traditional publishing. I don't know if it's just an ego thing, maybe. I really don't know,
Yeah.
but I like the idea that it feels. I think because it's a thing I've wanted to do for so long is have these things that I've written and have them in like the big shops and be able to buy in it, walk in and buy them and stuff. And that probably is just tied to an ego thing, but yeah, I like the idea of just doing it that way. Um, and I think with self-publishing as well, I'd be too scared that there's a whole bunch of mistakes that I've not noticed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the sort of picking, like just ordering a book that I've self-published and then going,
It's a
uh,
lot of work.
yeah, it's like entirely plausible that I would do that as well. There'd be like 17 mistakes and like three repeated paragraphs that I've not noted, and I can't. I couldn't. I'm not enough of a anal type of person to trust myself enough to edit a whole manuscript and then put it out there. Like I couldn't do it. But yeah, it's definitely would like someone whose job that is
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do that for me. Yeah, definitely. Mm.
Well, before we go, we always ask people if they have anything they are currently enjoying. So do you have any TV show, movie, book, podcast, magazine, anything that you'd like to give a little shout out about?
I just finished reading Coco Mello's new book, Blue Sisters. That was incredible. She did Cleopatra and Frankenstein last year or the year before. That was amazing. But the new one, Blue Sisters, incredible, amazing. I can't wait to see what she does next. But TV wise, I am a comfort show girly, so it's always The Office and Peep Show and Always Sunny. But I did just binge the entirety of Curb Your Enthusiasm in quite a pathetically small amount of time, considering there's like 12 seasons. And Larry David's my new favorite person. Also, I'm now in love with Richard Lewis, but turns out he's dead, so I miss my
Oh
boy.
no.
Damn
That's so close.
it. Like it's all women and then just one quite angry old man. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay then.
Okay.
Oh God, probably just better not to poke around at that too much. But other than that, no, I am a sucker for just rewatching the same old things that I've had a million times. Just when you're writing and drawing and all that stuff, just have it on in the background so you're not sat with
Yeah.
your own thoughts because that sounds
Yeah.
awful. Yeah.
And The
Um,
Office UK or Office US?
US, I do love the UK one, but there's just not enough of it.
Yeah.
So you can't it can't just be background. But I did recently start a book club at my tattoo studio, and this month's book is Our Wives by the Sea. The
That's supposed to be very good.
yeah, a few of them have already finished it, but the meeting's not till the end of the month, so I'm like, I need to read it like the week before, otherwise it will just
Yeah.
fall out of my brain.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to read it. So yeah, we'll see. Someone just said lesbian horror, and I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
in.
I'm in.
Okie dokie, sounds great. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, that's the book club thing has been nice so far. So we'll see how that goes.
There we have it.
There you have it.
It's nice to get to talk to Northern writers. We've been having we've had quite a lot of Americans and Canadians on, haven't we? I
True.
was like, oh my gosh.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was very
I
nice. I like it. And now I really want to too again.
I know. I was looking at them the whole time. I love tattoos so much. I don't know if I'd ever be brave enough to get them around my neck. That must hurt.
I know. Maybe like the back of the neck is, or like the sides, like towards
Yeah.
the back is like okay, but the front, nah.
Mm, yeah. But yeah. I need more books with tattooists in them.
Mm, it's true. I have a tattoo salon close by, which is interesting because they also do walk-ins. And the girlie started doing a lot of like an actual art of like paintings and statues and stuff, and it's so good. So good.
Imagine having that Lucifer, uh,
Oh,
the one with the
literally
tear
what's
with
in
the
my brain right
eyes.
now. I blink and he's there. It's his face with that one tear. Like
Great piece of art.
it's honestly one of my favorite pieces of art in the world.
Get it. I really get it.
I don't know what about it is that's really just like this is it for me.
I mean, I mostly love it because somebody edited it with Eddie Munson's face
Yeah,
on it, the part of Eddie Munson.
of course. Yes.
Yes. Literary fiction isn't a genre that you read very often, is it?
Not really. I used to actually more than now when I was like in my
Because
teenage years. She's
because
like,
I wanted you to read normal people,
yeah,
and you couldn't read it because it didn't have speech marks. Does
yeah.
this one have speech marks?
I don't think you said it doesn't, or something else.
No, he doesn't. It doesn't. Um, I should have asked about that. I wish I would have
Yeah.
asked about that
Oh my,
because
yeah.
I think that I get the reason behind it. I think it's kind of a way to. I used to have a better answer. I used to know why, and now I can't think why. I guess it's just part of like the genre that it's like an everyday, unassuming, like un what's the word? Like It's nothing extraordinary.
Mm.
And conversations do sometimes feel like it's not worth putting dialogue marks into when you're
Yeah.
just kind of talking. I guess it's like I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking because I don't think I know. I wish I would have asked actually. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
get it.
I do get it because I think when you're reading, your eyes need something to split up things.
Yeah. I was thinking of trying normal people on audio. I
Oh
think that would
yeah,
help
that's a good
me.
idea. I mean, of course you could just re watch the adaptations. I
Yeah,
think
that one I think is gonna happen. That I think that's what's gonna happen. Like I'm just gonna give up on the book. Go straight to the show. Yeah.
yeah.
But
The
yeah.
beautiful thing about Sally Rooney books is they're quite short, except for her newer ones. The because what was the last one I read by her? The newer one, not Intermezzo, but the one before. Beautiful World, Where Are You? It was that.
Oh, I
That
don't
one's a bit thicker.
okay. Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite one, I'm gonna say that. But normal people in conversation with friends are quite quick.
I think it's also because like I used to read more out of what I knew I would enjoy. Like I used to be more experimentative in
Yeah.
but I just like I right now I know what I enjoy and I have so little time and so little
Mhm.
energy, so I just dive straight into what
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
the same. I have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier on my shelf,
Mhm.
and I look at it all the time because it's supposed to be a really great classic. But it's a classic and it's thick, and I'm like, if I don't like it, it's going to be a slog. And I already spend so much time with words,
Yeah.
and they take up so much of my time.
Mm.
So I'm finding it even hard just to go and read these days,
Yeah. Get it.
which is annoying. But I did read Joy in one sitting, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess it's just like when your brain's ready for it.
There's that.
But
Yeah.
I did, yeah, I think I would encourage people to read it just because I think before that I could only really think of Sally Rooney as one of the authors of who wrote like queer characters. Um, so it was nice to kind of have another book like it that was sapphic.
Yeah.
And also one thing that annoys me about literary fiction readers is that they're always like, oh, Sally Rooney's books are so plain. Like the main character is just a plain white girl. She's boring, and it's like that's the point. We're all plain white girls. We're all pretty boring, but life kind of just keeps turning for us anyways.
Yeah.
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 Where I was going with that is, if you had a genre you could read more of this year, what would it be? Something that out of your comfort zone or out of your usual.
I would like to read more like human behavior. I still didn't finish the I'm surrounded by psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been actually looking at the narcissists yesterday and I was like, why do I have the psychopaths? Like maybe I should get back to that. So
Yeah.
I am fascinated by that a lot. And I just also like to go back to reading National Geographic, which I don't
Mm.
know, like it's not like a book genre, but I just love to learn stuff and
Well,
get
it's non-fiction.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. So yeah, that.
There you
Uh,
go.
there I go. Uh, Nonfiction is the answer for me, which is a weird thing
Yeah.
to say because I've never been a fan of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like to have a little fun fact in my pocket every now and
Mm.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I would really, in an ideal world, I'd love to go back to reading chunky fantasies where like
Mm.
it took me ages to get through, or not ages, but like where I could really savor it but enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah.
But that rarely happens now. Other than that, probably just I don't know really. I enjoyed getting into Catherine May's memoir last year, so I wouldn't mind finding more kind of neurodivergent, maybe non-fiction or memoir type books to read. And I was also reading Women and Girls on the Spectrum, which I enjoyed as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd really just like to read. I don't really care what it is anymore.
Yes, that's true. I get that. I've been doing pretty well with reading this year so far.
I don't think I finished a book this year yet, except for maybe right at the beginning before I started working again.
Didn't you finish Nettle and Bone?
Yeah, that was right at the beginning before I started working.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I've read this year is Nettle and Bone and Natalie Hedgerow and the Orange Alien, which is a children's book. So,
It counts.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Anywho, it's March. Well, we're getting ready for what the fuck? Oh, we haven't even got a name for it yet.
No, we do. It's Camp Bloom.
Camp Bloom. We're
Camp
getting ready for
Bloom.
Camp Bloom up in this house, apparently.
Yes.
Um, disclaimer, we're recording this in February, on the 2nd of February to be exact. So apologies, we're not that excited about it yet. But in the future, where we are now, when this goes out, we're gonna be excited.
Yes.
So make sure to, if you want to set yourself a writing goal next month, it's time. Start preparing. Pick a work in progress. Carry on with something you've already been doing.
And may I suggest using a writer's journals because I using them. I started writing into one, two actually now, and it brings me intense amount of joy. Well, let
Yeah.
me tell you that.
Both of my cousins now have them. No,
Wait, I was like, yeah, well, what?
I don't have two cousins. You have a cousin and a sister. But I just kind of chunk in these small people around me into the same category
That's
sometimes.
valid.
But yeah,
Yeah.
those 12-year-olds who sometimes come to my house, they both enjoy the journals. So, so if
Yes.
12-year-olds like them, then
Mhm.
anybody will like
Of
them.
course.
You
Case in
could
point.
even give them as Easter gifts. I don't know when Easter is right now, but
I think it's in April, my love, because that's when I'm gonna be taking my vacation, and that's in April.
well, next month then.
Yes.
When I back in the day, I used to ask for books for Easter instead of chocolate eggs because of the undiagnosed autism, probably. So if you prefer giving little gifts for Easter, then you can give somebody a writing journal.
I never got anything for Easter, not even chocolate.
Oh, this is so sad. You did, that's a lie, you got slapped.
I got slapped. Yeah, I got hit by my brother and other family members and also strangers. That was fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, because I was a fat kid, I wasn't getting much chocolate.
Okay, now. Well, guess what? You're an adult now. You get to eat all the chocolate.
And I fucking will because it's gonna be on sale.
Fuck yeah. Oh, and for the next camp, we're planning to start giving away notebooks with for a winner of our camp. So we'll be putting out a form to sign up somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's more incentive to come do camp with us. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's low pressure. We have Discord servers, and we're on Blue Sky now,
Yeah.
and we'll be everywhere really, and it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Even in your dreams and in your house and under
Yes.
your bed.
Mm. And in your wardrobes,
Yes.
and in the little cracks between your keyboard.
Just little hat pops up every now and then.
Yeah.
Do with that as you will.
Yeah. And on that note,
Remember to,
support women's rights,
but most importantly, support women's wrongs. Always.
especially if they accidentally sometimes a bit cheat on their best friends, cheat with their best friend's husband, which
Yeah,
happens
she
in
talks
Joy.
about the book. Yeah, not us, the book.
Yeah, it happens in the book.
Yeah.
We're not cheating on anybody. Unfortunately, we don't get the chance to even have anyone to cheat on.
We would, but sadly, none of us is married, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Anywho,
We shall see you later, alligator.
in a while, crocodile.
Thank you for listening. You can expect an episode every other Wednesday.
And be sure to expect lots of guests, including authors and queer creators.
While waiting for the episodes, feel free to check out our website, swordsandsuffix.com.
Be sure to submit to our forms if you're a queer creator to be featured on our blog or our monthly release lists.
You can also take part in Swords and Suffix and Scribbles, which is a monthly writing event to help you reach your goals.
And if you're just looking for a community that will be supportive and joyful, you can join our Discord server where most of our writing events take place, but also we just have lots of conversations and lots of fun.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok, where you can find us as all kinds of versions of Swords and Suffix.